All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to, I don't even remember how many we've had, I think 4 or 5, Kubernetes Upstream contributor meeting of marketing meeting of variety of sorts. My name is Paris again. I don't think we have any new folks on the line right now, so I don't think we have to go into any intros. But of course, as a reminder, we do have a code of conduct. Please be excellent to each other. It is only 6 of us on the line, so feel free to just interrupt nicely. It's a small crew, so we're allowed to have the discussion time. As I mentioned, when we weren't recording, and for those that are just joining us, a lot of us had a bad productivity week this week, and a lot of our action items from last week are not done. That's okay, very okay. But we're here to, let's just do a quick stand up, see if there are things that have been completed and if we can move on to next items. And also just get a pulse for how everybody's doing and of course, open discussion. So first, I wanted to do a really quick boardwalk before stand up because I just wanted to show folks, hold on, let me share screen too. Some folks have not seen that we have a project board. It's mostly barren at this point, but barren because including me here, by the way, me, when I say this, we're not doing a good job of filing issues. I'm taking that as a major AI for me is to make sure that if you're not filing issues, I'm filing issues on your behalf. So for instance, I just filed some issues this morning for some things that, we have open-ended items for. I've got a backlog column, a to-do column, and progress done. Pretty simple. If anybody here is interested in helping out with board stuff and not necessarily marketing stuff or like project management, feel free. Again, this is super basic right now. Again, this is just the bootstrapped edition, but feel free to move your cards around if one of these is your cards. If you all have, I guess what am I looking for? Suggestions on how we should project manage this. Like if you've been on marketing teams before and have seen them do wild things with their cards and whatnot, feel free to shout that out. Yeah, I see Chris like, no.
Bob had his hand up first.
Yeah, I do actually have one small request. I would really like to try and, like, if it's stuff that we're working on or plan to be working on within the quarter, add it to the current milestone. So that's the V118. Yeah. This is mostly just that way, like, we can go back and see everything that we did in this quarter, and eventually, hopefully, like, a planning session to kick off the next one of big goals trying to achieve.
That's cool.
And
okay.
Next is just sort of the parking lot for things. That's essentially the important things that are in the backlog.
As far as like wild marketing team boards, like I've seen a lot of them, and
Yep.
I can tell you that no offense to anyone in marketing, but like it doesn't exactly jive with
and that's fine.
And I'm in marketing, I say this, it doesn't exactly jive with like our Kubernetes workflows at all.
Yeah, and that's fine too. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. But at the same time, if anybody has seen anything, I'm very open. So
yeah, I've got a couple thoughts there. I mean, so we produce about 100 articles a month on opensource.com, and it's all managed through Kanban. Where there's like a flow process with like clear definitions of who owns each step along the way. It's a lot more advanced because it's a lot of content. It's the one thing we focus on. But we found that like separating out the flow of content from like flow of project management was really essential. Unfortunately, they don't really blend together. Like it's a little oil and water when it comes to what your column names are going to be and like what state management's going to be. So for instance, like we have kind of like a Trello board that's like the long list of things that we want to get done month to month. Like a monthly cadence check-in on, our core community management strategies, our like specific initiatives. Like that's like month to month cadence, and we jump in on the monthly call to walk through that. But on the day-to-day basis, it's where is our content, and that starts from curating all the way through copy editing to publication and syndication. So it's a pretty deep beast, and I don't want to impose. I love good project management, and I think good project management means not too much at the wrong time. So
exactly, and that's why I was trying to keep things.
This is a brilliant start.
Yeah, I'm nervous that, like, because I had some kind of ideas as well, but I feel like this team is so big and has so many focus areas that I was concerned that I was gonna overly engineer something. But I am like, Matt, if this sounds something like that you might want to do, meaning like help us figure out more of the flows and things like that, please, like this is open.
Totally. I think this is the first time I'm joining a marketing meeting. I'm excited to get ramped up, and I was just maybe curious to check in on, like, was there a definitive mission for this group of like, our goal is to get because like, it's depending on that goal, it could be like we're trying to help produce content on Kubernetes properties versus we're trying to maybe reach larger audiences with simplified explanations of what's happening. Excuse if I'm asking you to repeat yourself here, but
yeah, that's fine.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, tag in.
Yeah, totally fine.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, we have a purpose. We have vision. We don't necessarily have a mission. If you want to help us work on that, that's great. But the purpose right now is to better inform Kubernetes contributors and to highlight their work to the broader ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have a charter
awesome.
that's a work in progress.
Yeah, and then here's we also have the charter. Here's our charter with the ethos, vision, goals, stuff that's out of scope, governance, the roles that we have. And then
Cool.
all this is like, to-do-ish.
Love
right?
it. Yeah, I might start, proposing stuff by PR, because
Definitely.
I definitely have some thoughts on this, and I'm really excited. Like, I love the technical side, but I feel like the way we communicate and position, like who we're talking to and when, is just so important to any of this making sense to people.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to use the words like upstream.
Totally.
And we're trying to focus on current contributors. Because again, we have 45,000. So we have a small city, literally. So like, we have a 45,000 person company.
Yeah.
And 1,000 of them are extremely active. Extremely. Meaning
That's
over
9 times the size of the town I grew up in.
Yeah. So that's why I'm focusing. We're like, we have and I wanted to focus us, like, because a lot of people, when they come to Contribex, think that the only thing we work on is new contributors. And that's been an issue, I think, over the last 5 years, is we've blown up with new contributors, and then we haven't done much for the current. So this is this is really solving a lot of problems for us. One being the noise, 2 being, I didn't get the word out about that one thing right, or I didn't advertise that one thing right, etc. So we've got a charter, we've got like kind of what roles we've started to chisel out. Some folks already started PRing their names into where they want to work. Other people are still kind of bootstrapping guidelines and things like that, and want to see where they place and want to see what's interest. So Matt, honestly, you haven't missed much as far as like claiming roles are concerned. Right now, it's just mostly like, let's get this baby up and running to a point where people can contact us.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice first step.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we've been working on like how people get in contact with us, why they get in contact with us, and then the blog team, Taylor and Rin and a couple other folks that are on the line that are going to work on just contributor upstream blog posts, like storytelling and whatnot. They actually created some blogging guidelines, but this is also, I do want to iterate that the SIG docs team owns the Kubernetes blog, and they are in the docs SIG. So what we're doing here is we're pretty much just saying like, hey, we're going to do, obviously all these blog guidelines as well, but we have some additional things that we want to consider and talk about.
Just one other thing too is like, at least eventually we'll be able to have the blog on the contributor site as well. So we can have contributor focused content there as well.
Cool. Yeah, and Matt, another thing we really need is folks to help us with the contributor site as well. So if that interests you. So that's, where's I lost my board. Let me go back to the board. All right, so we've got stuff that's in progress with the blog team that we'll hear about in a second. To do is the Slack team for us. And again, in order for people to get in contact with us, Jonas is going to create a form. We'll have a Slack team, meaning people can add us in Slack. And then now we also have the area label for contributor comms that people can apply to issues and PRs. So we've got at least 3 ways for people to reach out to us and contact us. Let's see. And then looks like backlog, we've got 2 G Suite issues. Oh, and by the way, update on G Suite stuff. I do have 2 folks that are interested, Karthik and Neil. Both are going to meet with me privately next week because they've missed a lot of the context with these meetings. So I'm going to meet privately with them and get them bootstrapped for folks that are like, what are you talking about? Which G Suite? We have contributors at kubernetes.io, which will eventually be kind of like our lifeline for how we get comms out. And obviously G Suite has a ton of very cool features like an awesome API. So we can do really cool automation-y like things, maybe even like hook it up to SIG-YAML, who the heck knows? But anyway, these 2 folks are going to help us with how we can better use G Suite and see if we can hook us up with some kind of like cool marketing related processes and things there. So that's the only thing that we have on the boards right now. And I guarantee everybody here is working on at least one thing for the marketing meeting. So I implore folks, please set issues if you're working on stuff that can help us with making sure that we're all on time and delivering things. That would be great. Definitely holds me accountable. Feel free to assign me to any issues. Literally, seriously, I'm totally okay with that. So that's just a little bit about the board. Once we get going even more, it'll be much more of a boardwalk. But let's just do a quick round of stand-ups. I know some folks have been working on things this week. If you have not, like I said, no pressure, no shame. I did not. Clearly, I did my homework before this meeting. So blog team, does anybody for the blog team want to give a quick stand-up?
Sure. So hello, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Taylor. I'm not a Taylor, so I can't help you out with your clothes. Good way to remember me. This week, I worked on some of the SIG storytelling stuff. I got a couple questions into our Google Doc for that item. There are just a few questions. There's not too much there. So if there's anything that you'd want to hear from SIGs, any deep burning desires or questions that you want to ask those people, I'd be happy to ask on your behalf. Please throw it into that document. Aside from that, haven't done too much, but looking forward to getting a little bit more in there and then kind of fleshing out that document, move that item to in progress. And I think that we're shooting sometime around August to really get that thing rolling and start to see some of those profiles get done.
All right. Do me a favor, link to those questions in the agenda when you get a chance. And then just for context for folks that have no idea what questions we're talking about, as part of the SIG storytelling series, the blog team requested a sheet of questions or sort of like a script or something. Not necessarily they're going to ask all of the same questions to the SIGs, but just kind of like a pool of questions so that the stories can be somewhat consistent and sort of an interview, if you will. So Taylor's been working on that. Thank you so much, Taylor. And then Rin, I think you said pretty much no stand-up, correct?
Yeah, I can sync with Taylor on this, like I said, when I get back on my regular schedule, and we can get that blog post going based off the issue we talked about last week. But as of this week, I can't. But for right now, I can sync up with Taylor next week, and we can get that going.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
No worries. Like I said, I know everybody had a low week. Anybody else from the blog team on? I don't think anybody else is.
I did have one question on that front in terms of just sharing that out. I can share that out individually to people that want to help edit. I just put SIG Contribex, just that group for right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But cool.
Yeah. So anytime I share docs too with anybody in Kubernetes, what I do is I'll usually share it with KDev and with Contribex mailing lists and put them both to commenters only. But that way, that opens it up to like over 6,000 people. So good shot that most folks will be able to read the doc. But I also don't notify them either. I see people do that all the time when they're like, oh, I accidentally notified 45,000 people that I created a Google Doc.
It's like everybody's accidentally done an @ here. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else from the blog team want to either say something, update with something, any other comments, concerns, questions? Okay. And for context, again, the blog team is probably one of the only teams that we have that's like about to produce. They're so close to producing. I think it's the only team that we have right now that is. But that was intentional. It's a team that can get up and running rather quickly and help us get the word out about us. The other thing too, blog team, is I kind of want to write a meta blog about us. So kind of like once we're, I guess, maybe like 2 to 3 more weeks out, once we have some roll books PR'd in and we're looking a little bit fresh, and we have all of our comms channels up, then I think we should do a little meta blog post about us. So folks see that we're trying to like open source marketing. So social media, Chris, you have a little more than one bullet there.
So I have more than one bullet, but it's basically a lot of nothing. Still passively looking for shadows, not much productivity there. I'll start actively after I get back from Vegas next week.
And like I said, it's not going to come until that roll book gets in. So
right. So yeah, the roll book and guidelines and everything else are no progress on that yet. No progress on the quotes for presenting to CNCF. Did we finalize the list and then put that out to be voted on yet for handles? I forget if we put that out there anywhere.
We need to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
That should just be an email to Contribex.
Okay. Well, I'll dig up the 3 from last week or whatever it was. Kate's contributors.
What you can do too is create a GitHub issue for it, and then do an emoji vote up down or type thing, or vote for this one.
Oh yeah. Which emoji does what? Yeah.
Yep.
Let me see that before you send it out, Chris.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then, because I also wanted you to send it to KDev, not just Contribex.
No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry, I was about to second guess myself. All right.
Okay.
So
stop doing that. Don't second guess yourself. You're a smart person. No reason to do that.
Also, I'm going to do file issue for this.
Yes. This week has been something else, and I'm out next week. I expect little progress. So it'd be great if we could get that issue going today.
Do I already have it? Hold up.
Oh, you do? You already have one?
I thought I did. Oh, wait. There it is. Look at that. Draft.
Okay. Cool.
All right. That's that.
Sorry, what issue number was that? I'll just pull it up now.
4516.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? I didn't do a SIG like a bad person.
Dagnabbit.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's Expected. We've got issues now. Do me a favor, file. I don't have an issue for the roll book. So if you want to file it, file it. If I don't file it, I will. So no pressure there. Anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns about social? Or if you haven't been here in a few weeks and you want to know a TLDR, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
too.
if you need a summary.
What is
I'm into it. No, what's
Hey,
the? Oh, sorry, someone's speaking.
oh, sorry. Hey, Paris and Chris. What is this rule book about?
What is, I'm sorry.
What is the
the
roll book
rule
about?
About.
Oh, so roll book is, hold on. Actually,
The official definition.
I'm just going to give you a example. Events, mark events team. So roll books are in here. So this is an events team. So we've got content, and then we've got content coordinator. So this is kind of like a handbook, roll book, skills qualifications, activities, time commitment. Obviously a lot of to-dos in here. This is very live. So it's taking kind of what you know about the role, the job, the overview, the duties, just kind of giving someone a heads up as to what to expect. And then this is a better onboarding path for contributors because they already know kind of expectations ahead of time. And it helps us mentor not easy, that's the wrong word. It helps us mentor
Up and coming.
Not just necessarily up and coming, but it helps us mentor in a way where it's not as like ambiguous and ad hoc. And like, here, take this issue. It's like, here's the things that you're responsible for. So let me give it back to the community. And remember, we live in communication, marketing team. So ideally, the roll books would be in here as just an MD file. And then we can, like I said, just go ahead and put files in here and then we can organize things a little later. But for instance, I'll have one in here that says editor.md. And then we'll probably have one in here that says internal comms lead.md, social lead.md. And then again, that helps us with recruiting people. Like in Chris's case, Chris really he needs a shadow. I'm shadowing right now to bootstrap. But eventually Chris is going to need a shadow, right? And in order to recruit the shadow, it's going to be best if he has a role book to send along that says, hey, here's some of the things that we're looking for, right? So that's what we mean by role book. So everybody here, except for the blogging team, by the way, because bloggers technically have a role book through SIGDocs. Everybody here, except for blogging team, should have a role book. And blogging team also has guidelines too. So if you're sitting there like, oh, wow, I wonder what my role book is, that's like, okay, let's get you into a role, right? Or let's figure out like the best area for you. Did that answer your question? That might be a little long-winded. I thought.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No, that was a detailed information. Thank you.
Yeah. I know everybody on this line has different experience with the project, so I just want to make sure I'm being contextual. All right. And Matt, I think you also had a question.
Oh, I was giving you a thumbs up. I'm good to go.
Oh, cool.
That was really helpful.
Yeah. Anybody else with questions, concerns, comments about social? All right, and then I see Tunde on from internal comms. Tunde, do you have an update for us? And again, no pressure if you don't. As you can see, productivity was low this week.
Yeah, I don't really have any updates for internal comms. I still need to sync with Jonas, so that we can be on the same page, but nothing right now.
Okay. And if you all want to, late next week, maybe Thursday or something, if me and Jonas want to get on the line and have, what should we like what are some of our, next sprint goals kind of conversation, we can do that.
All right, sure.
And because I think one of the things we should do is make sure that we get that calendar up. And then also talk a little bit more programmatically about how we're going to service some of the programs itself. And Matt, you actually might have some good feedback here for us as well. I'll tell you the problem statement. So the problem statement is we've created these events and programs, right? Some of them are a little bit more liquid than others. Others are actually like live and successful programs, but they all need advertising. And we have here, I'll show you. Hold on one sec.
And it's like the continuous like advertising that we do with like our publications, right? Like we'll refresh links and stuff for content that's, evergreen.
But they need a process. And I say that because I've been doing, so for instance, I'll just keep giving some very poignant examples. Meet Our Contributors.
Mm-hmm.
And Meet Our Contributors is a monthly YouTube series that we do it's called Mentors on Demand. It's just a bunch of contributors that get on a call on a YouTube stream, and we answer the most random questions, like why is my test flaking? How do I be a better contributor? What SIG do I join? Why is my test flaking? What's your favorite color? Like and we're it's just a fun thing, and we're okay with answering whatever, right? So, but what needs to happen is so freaking manual for me as the host, because what I do is a week before I'll try my hardest, which never happens, but a week before I'll try my hardest to do a discuss thread. And then, because if I do that, it'll hit the weekly digest that they have. And then all 5,000 people get the weekly digest. And then send a note to KDev on the mailing list. And then send a tweet to social. But we have 5 programs like that now.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it so manually. And Chris will say oh, hey, should I tweet about the community meeting? And we're all like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we need to think more programmatically. And so here I'm bringing this up because this is our master communication document of every channel we have known to man and woman and MB. And this is wild, right? So it's wild. But I just redid this because it was once just this humongous list. So I at least broke things down into discussions are here, decisions are here. So you can at least get some kind of where do I go out of it. But so Tunde and Jonas and myself and a couple other people have been thinking about honestly just thinking at this point, nothing on paper, about how we can do this programmatically. And and this is actually what I don't know either is how other marketing teams do this.
Sure. I can speak to that part.
Sure.
I think for us, it's all about what I get lost in all this as well until there is a single source of truth. Like this is the place, once something gets here, all these other actions happen after it. Ours is once an article comes back from copy editing, that is when the person responsible for SEO jumps in and starts to optimize all the metadata. The person responsible for social media schedules it in social media, and the person responsible for I'm responsible for the community side, so I do a technical content check at that point as well. And the 3 of us team up and kind of all have check boxes on the item before it goes through and flows into published. So I think what's I'm not seeing yet is where is the entry point where if it's here, therefore it's ready for all this other things to start happening.
Yep.
And that could also be the point where it pings the team in our channel, hey, marketing team, be sure to schedule this as a tweet and do this other stuff.
Yep. And we don't have that yet.
Yeah,
you know,
that's fair. Like that's
yes.
super natural.
Yeah, and so Jonas and Tunde were thinking from a programmatic sense to start, and again, like to start with the little asterisk, to start just a very basic Google form. Like, so if you have a program, fill out the Google form, it kicks off their processes, and then eventually they'll know what kind of all the programs that we have, because they'll have the like that sort of database within the Google form, or within the sheet. Obviously we can identify all those now. I don't know if we should identify them and then like list the places where they need to be posted and the cadence, like, and give that to them. I guess we're a little like unsure of like the bootstrap on that. At least I am. I haven't touched base with Jonas though. So it's been a week since I've touched base with Jonas. So he could very well already have some of this docked. But that's just to give you a little bit of what's in our head. That's where we are right now.
That makes sense. I think the nicest thing is like it is a limited number of stuff at the end of the day. Like there are objects coming in, and like if you can center it, like I always end up drawing a diagram for these of like what are all the inputs, and then there's the master point in the system, and then what are all the outputs. And like it's okay if it's a lossy system, like not every input ends up in all the outputs. Like that's not a big deal, but like I end up throwing this into Lucidchart or even Google freaking slide and just like make something that shows like we consume from these 4 places at like this cadence, and then we'd like to, upon each time, you know, tweet it, post it to LinkedIn, post it to Discourse, post it to the dev mailing list. And then the question is like how, I think it'll quickly reveal like how standardized that is versus like, okay, well, no, and these ones we do it this way and these ones we do it that way. And see if we can kind of either consolidate, or if we do need like multiple separate processes for different content types.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good idea, because like there's some content where you want to solicit stuff from end users, so that you'd want to go to like discuss and probably the main Kubernetes.io to like tweet out, versus so I'm thinking like the feedback surveys that have been requested by like SIGArch and some of the other groups, whereas like there's other stuff that's just completely contributor focused, and those should be focused on like, you know, KDev and things like that, and eventually the contributor Twitter. Essentially index the endpoints.
Yeah. Can you say that again? So it's like there's a content type where like looking for feedback from end users.
Yeah, feedback from users, like end users. And you realize that's a distinction here, right?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool. Some people don't like get like end users actually means a thing here.
All good.
Yeah, the worst part is like all of our contributors are end users.
Right.
Like, all of these terms get very conflicted, and that's why I keep like reiterating our focus. Like, but the thing is, they still need end user feedback. We just don't necessarily need to like focus on the end user, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to portray that, but anyway, go ahead. Yeah, developer only FYI, because those things like developer only FYIs are things like process changes, like workflow changes, GitHub announcements, code of conduct stuff.
Steering.
Steering committee stuff. So like governance. What else? And then like the developer only programs, like meet our contributors, like the monthly community meeting. So yeah, no, there's definitely things, as you can see.
Yeah.
And then like the other content types are actions, like things we need them to do, or act, like which is a very big problem, because most people are looking at the developer only FYI as just an FYI, and a lot of the times it has an action.
Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
like, so for instance, the contributor summit, most of the time, there's some action in there. Whether it's register, whether it's CFP, whether it's whatever. And I think a lot of people just like, oh, cool, they're telling me about the contributor summit, neat, you know. So I feel like those need certain channels, like especially reminders, and like we're just bad at like the cadence things. And because again, it's just so ad hoc. Like we're in chat and somebody's like, oh, we should advertise it here. So yeah.
I think, I mean, it's going to be a ton of stuff, but the more kind of specific we can be about, like, these are really quickly worded, you know, sort of personas of like, what's the persona we're trying to hit with this? And like, that will tell us the categorization of things. And then maybe like you basically have run books for these to put it in like SRE terms.
Yes.
Like, what's the run book for like, I want to inform somebody of something, like, okay, here's the run book, like tell this person or post this place.
Yes, and that's that's where I was trying my hardest to go with geez. I was trying my hardest to go with not only the rule books, but just some of the other things that we're doing as far as like process is concerned. So yeah, I feel like we're on the same page. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel deep enough to solve things, but I'm happy to keep talking about it.
Probably just need to like schedule a brainstorming session where just like
Yeah.
for that purpose to diagram everything out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that might be a good subject for not necessarily the next marketing one, because I think a lot of people are going to be gunning it maybe the following one.
Exactly.
Yeah, a couple of weeks would be awesome.
Yeah. So, and we have to involve Jonas as well, because Jonas is, I think, leading this as well for us. So, all right.
It helps that Jonas is the reason I'm here. Like, I love that human. And
oh, cool.
It also helps that I always confuse you two. So.
That's the kindest thing you've ever told me, Chris.
Oh, actually, I remember the thing I wanted to add to the project board, but I forgot to, and that was all the stuff regarding the survey requests.
Oh.
Would that be something
like
good for the marketing team to own?
No.
Like just a request flow, or like no?
That's a CNCF thing.
Okay.
Like file a ticket. Like that.
Paris
and honestly,
says no.
Honestly, I asked for a collaborative SurveyMonkey account for this purpose, and if we didn't get one, then they file tickets. That's like I asked. I filed a ticket for it. They said it was too expensive. So here we go.
Yeah, SurveyMonkey does kind of make it pretty obnoxious with how they define users.
Yeah, it's expensive real quick.
Yeah. So if folks, I think the guidance should be if folks want a survey, they should file a ticket with Service Desk. That's we should just put that somewhere in guidance or something like that.
Put it in out of scope.
Yeah, and then we could also announce that during one of like the need to know chair emails. And that's another like that's a whole other thing about marketing that I'm not even going to get into on this call, which is SIG chairs and tech leads, which is like they have their own now micro community and need their own communications. But I'm not going to get into that one now because I would completely blow the scope for this call. So first things first, baby steps, y'all, baby steps. But that's really it for the call today. Does anybody have any other things that they wanted to either discuss or validate or anything at all?
You're all my Valentines.
Oh. Okay, so it sounds like next week we're going to have I'm going to have a G Suite call with the two folks that are helping us. And also, speaking of, we just talked about internal comms and like inputs and outputs. Like this is like the stuff where G Suite, like automation could help us as well. So like if we do have cool recipes and once we get some of those workflows down, we can have that team look into stuff for us. So So I'm gonna have a separate meeting with G Suite team, our hopeful G Suite team, and then also internal comms team. Probably have some messages, and then by next Friday we should have almost all of our ways to get a hold of us launched, and we'll have some more social stuff kicking, and we'll probably have some more of the blog questions and scripts for the bloggers done. Did I miss anything? All right. Keep the thinking hats on throughout the week. Think about how we can make this better, grow this. Also, don't forget to follow your issues, get your roll books done. And yes, you're allowed to put to-dos everywhere at this point. That's fine. Check it in and iterate. And let's get going. All right. Y'all are awesome. Happy Friday wherever you are.
Happy Friday.
Happy
Yeah.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thank you, Matt. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye, everybody.
Later,
Have a good
team.
weekend. Later.
And a cat pick for the road.
Nice.
Yeah, she's passed out and like keeps trying to touch the trackpad.
I got.
You got 3 around you?
Yep.
Oh, amazing.